Hello and welcome to the One People Show.
Hello and welcome everyone to this week's One People Roundtable with myself, Lisa Harrison, and Daniana McKinney.
The bored one.
The bored one.
I'm bored.
Dee and I did have a chat because it's 8 o'clock in the morning for me, Tuesday morning. So last night Dee and I had a chat about what we wanted to talk about today. And
it was a long meandering chat, but we did discuss some of that too.
Yeah, we've got some. Because we're both seeing the same things. So most of what we're going to talk about, I've been discussing with the members in the LMH membership for the last couple of weeks. So, but we're seeing, this is really hard to, it's been difficult to try and find a way to put this into words, right? But I'm just going to share my personal experiences and observations and see how it feels, see if it connects with you, see if you can relate to it. I get visuals that work for me as an analogy. You might, and I've seen other people get completely different visuals, have a different analogy, a different description, a different language, but I think ultimately we are saying the same things. So I'm not talking literal, I'm just using certain metaphors and stuff to try and explain what I feel. I think many of us were doing a lot of energetic work leading up to 2012, December. Those dreams that weren't quite dreams, the lucid dreams, the waking dreams, the experiences in meditation, all of that stuff. Some of us knew we were doing work. Some of us just thought we were daydreaming or dreaming. Dee, you apparently are frozen mid-drag on your cigarette. Oh, there you go.
I'm just taking a really long drag, that's all.
It was. And then for me, something did fundamentally shift at the end of December 2012. I, now in hindsight, can look back because more recently there's been an experience, and I don't even know if I know I've shared it, I just don't know where. It's one of, so whether it was with us on one of these shows or not. There was a dream not too long ago where I went through the veils. I was literally sung by a woman, sung through the veils. And I went through 6 of them. And I woke up just before the 7th, and I knew I didn't get through the 7th. And I think that the process that has been available to us, some have gone through it consciously, willingly, pushing themselves through it. Some have gone through it kicking and screaming, and some are refusing to go through it. But the process that has been available to us since January 2013 is one of going through the veils, right? The 7 veils, so to speak. So someone was unmuted. Yeah. And this going through the veils thing is a process, right? And if you were lucky enough to start on that road back in January of 2013, you've had all this time to do it gently.
Calmly, slowly work through these things in a nice, organized...
Yes, it's birds in the background.
Yeah, it's the birds that are in the background at Lisa's place. It's Australia. You just can't escape from it.
What's being observed is people are going through that process now that some of us took a nice, comfortable 3 and a bit years to go through. You guys are doing it in weeks or a couple of months.
It's 3 months instead of 3-4 years.
Yeah. The best... I guess I really never knew what to think about the whole idea of waves. But I am seeing waves of people. And we'll get into that a little bit more. But this process of going through the veils includes things like being attacked, feeling attacked, going sideways, where the whole world turns sideways, going through a process of detachment. It can be physical changes. There does seem to be a period of all your fears coming up, old wounds, things that you feel like you've healed, dealt with that years ago, suddenly resurface.
Yeah. The old memories.
You feel alone.
Yeah.
Even suicidal at times, disconnected. But it's a process. And the bigger, what this fits into is, this is where the imagery that works for me comes in. We've been obviously talking about it's a construct. It's a hologram, construct, whatever. So picture this cube. We've talked about constructs within constructs, little Russian dolls, all that. So inside the construct, it was invaded, it has been controlled. There are bloody Dracos and reptiles and God knows whatever else we want to label in there.
Yeah, pick a label, slap it on.
But there's this little construct within that construct. And it's a safe zone. I've been calling it the waiting room. I've been calling it the waiting room is what I've been calling it. But, so you've got your Rubik's Cube, maybe that's a better way of putting it. You've got your Rubik's Cube, which was our old construct. And then one of those little cubes that make up the Rubik's Cube is this waiting room. And what I'm, in hindsight, looking back on it all, this process of going through the veils is a process of moving yourself into this waiting room. And the final part of it is the membrane that we've been talking about, this sensation of a membrane and water and all of that. Once you go through the membrane and you end up in this, what I'm calling the waiting room. Is any of this making sense so far? Yes. Okay. So go through 6 of the veils, pop through the membrane, end up in the waiting room. The waiting room, to me, feels like a very clean white cube, right? There are no Dracos, there are no reptiles, there are no aliens, there is no tech, there are no attacks. There was, just prior to me going through the membrane, there was an attack by a bloody Draco army. Like, I've never seen so many. And it was like their last attempt to stop me or something from moving through. This waiting room is, like I said, it's clean. It's just like a blank slate. And the only thing in here is what we bring into it. So our programs, our baggage, essentially.
Our baggage and programs.
Yes. When you first land in the waiting room, because you've just gone through, especially people who are going through it really quickly in weeks or months, because it's been so hectic, when you first pop into this waiting room, it is an energetic dead zone.
It's just a dead
Suddenly
zone.
nothing.
There's just nothing.
And
nothing going on. Nothing.
Boring. There's only Reader's Digest to read, and that's it. And it's really boring.
I don't want to talk about the whole Reader's Digest thing, but you keep going.
It seems now there's more to this waiting room, which has only just started to, in the last 48 hours, start to evolve for me. Because this, like I said, when you first get here, it's like a resting space after everything you've gone through, going through the veils, getting through the membrane. It's like, rest. And it's really boring. And at some point you get so bored. Picture a long white waiting room with chairs along one wall. And when you first get in there, you have to sit in the first chair. And you just sit there. And then you get to move up a chair. And at that point, because like I said, it's this blank space. And these are our projectors, and we start to project all of our programs onto the white walls, onto the canvas of this cube. And the purpose of this is to get to see them clearly and drop them. Your limitations, your programs, your baggage,
Your hang
leave it all behind.
all
Ways
the
to do
bullshit.
Does anybody relate at this point to any part of this journey that I've talked about up to here? Do you feel like you've gone through the membrane yet? Or are you still on the other side where the fuckery is happening still? Yep. In the waiting room, almost there, still in the waiting room. Hopefully someone left. Okay. This membrane, this membrane thing that you go through, it's kind of acting like a two-way mirror. It's like if you're in the waiting room, you can see through it back into the old construct. You can see the fuckery. You can see how it's bothering people. You can see what people are creating for themselves. You can see it all, but it's not here. It's not in your space. It's not in your world. You can see it, but it's over there. And the people that are still in that can kind of see through the membrane, but it's kind of, you're just a silhouette through this opaque glass because they just don't understand how you can be living the life you're living and thinking the way you're thinking and feeling the way you're feeling when all this shit's going on. They're not quite getting it. But if they're open, they're drawn to it, but they don't quite understand it yet, right? Something like that. Is there anything you wanted to clarify or say after this point?
The chat room's going off and they're being hysterical right now. The birth analogies are hysterical. Get the forceps and the vacuum extractors. No, it's got to happen naturally. Says the childbirth person. Okay, so it's really funny because Lisa and I had this really long rambling conversation today, and we do try to catch up before we do the show to kind of, touch base, and kind of, it doesn't always work out. Actually, most of the time it doesn't work out, but so today we had quite a good chat, and we were talking about what we're observing, what we're seeing, and what we're feeling. And I said, this year, especially. So this 2017, it was like there was something that just, and it's the same thing with you. Fucking, you land in the waiting room, and it was just not boring like today was boring. Today was boring. It was a little different, my boredom today, but there's just energetically null. There was nothing to see. People would say to me, well, have you gone and looked at our Antarctica, or have you gone and looked at this? And I'm like, yeah, no, and I don't feel like it. There was nothing there was just nothing. And then for like the last week, all of a sudden I was going through a lot of memory stuff, but not the memory stuff that kind of was like, I don't know, one veil ago, where you were going through all the deep stuff, like Lisa said, like the old shit that you thought you dealt with is all of a sudden coming back up again to be re-looked at, to be really dealt with, etc. But it was like a lot of random memories, really, really random, like of people from like a conversation you had like 20 years ago with someone that was really about nothing. And that's when I made the analogy. I said it's kind of like sitting in the waiting room reading Reader's Digest. You just you sit in the waiting room, you walk in, you sit down, and you pick up a magazine, and you start flipping through it. And it's 2 years old, this magazine, right? Because you're like, pfft. And you read an article on, I don't know, the humpback whale, and then you flip the page, and you like read an article about, I don't know, some new invention in cars, and then you read an article about shoes, and that's what these memories have felt like. Just like, almost just like random holding pattern, just stuff, filler kind of stuff. Like, it's like, what am I going to do with my brain while I'm waiting for the next thing? Just waiting for the next thing.
Before we move on to more about this waiting room stuff, let's go talk a little bit more about the process of the veils.
Yes.
Because one of the things, and because it happened for me over like a 3 or 4 year period, you don't necessarily see the events that are connected in a chronological order. I had to kind of look at it all and condense it all and go, oh, I see.
Yeah, hindsight is 20/20 afterwards, right?
Yeah, like that saying, "Dark Night of the Soul," definitely part of it. Going back through and really, it's almost like a life review. Donna was calling it a life review, where you question and you every fuck up you've ever made, every person you've ever hurt, everything you ever said, that
conversations you had where you said something really stupid, or you said something that was hurtful, like you say, and you're like, oh, even if it was like when you were 19, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I said that was so terrible. How could I have been so obnoxious? You know, those kind of things.
Okay, so some of you guys are there right now. Okay, this is part of the veil process as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yes, there's also attempts by people and the construct itself to keep pulling you back so you don't go through the next one. Always. Pull you back in, back in.
It's like every stage, every veil, every level, if you will, there is that pullback. Got to pull you back in, something, throw you something. And we've actually talked a lot about this, Lisa. And I've actually, after you and I talked, I thought about it some more. The people that get thrown at you to pull you back in, do you know what I mean? And it's almost like we go past that one place, you get to that next place, and the people come out of the woodwork to come in and try and draw you back into or backwards through.
What else is part of this process? The sleeping thing. Okay, the sleeping thing seems to happen where you can't, where you can't sleep at all, and or you're exhausted and all you can do is sleep. That, for me, was all prior to the membrane, prior to this final veil, which is this membrane I'm talking about. Since I felt like I went through the membrane, my sleep's been fine. What else? Donna, you and I have talked about this too. If there's anything I've forgotten that's part of this veil process, remind me.
Well, you know, to me, once you get through the, you know, the first stage of like it's throwing all your fears up in your wounds and stuff, you go to the next stage where it's your, like a past life or your wounds being thrown at you. And then it sort of kind of eases off, but you still feel stuck and you're very disconnected from everyone. Disconnected, feeling alone, feeling isolated. Even if you're surrounded by people, talking to people, you just feel alone. And part of that is that's where what I learned was that's where you have to really turn within and look in your own heart and give yourself all of that, because that gets you through it.
Yeah.
If you drown within that, you can get suicidal. This is where the suicidal thoughts come in, the depressions come in, because you feel so alone, so isolated. You're trying to connect, you can't feel it. Even your gifts or your natural spiritual abilities, energetic abilities can be kind of shut down and only kick in when someone else needs it, and then you can't see for yourself, so you can be blinded.
It's a really lost feeling.
Yeah.
Very difficult stage. But what to me is really important in that stage is put on the songs that you love, no matter how you're feeling. Remind yourself every day what amazing experiences you've had, even in the fucked up construct, you know, when the day your babies were born, or the day you met your lover, or anything that brings you joy, nature, beauty, walks. Immerse yourself in that when you're going through that, because that will push you through and it will pop you through the other side.
But even just this understanding that what you're in is a process,
Yeah.
and that the steps to the process hopefully will help, because there is a white room at the end of the process instead of a light at the end of the tunnel.
Stay away from the light. Yeah.
Yes.
Go to
Okay,
it.
Especially for those who are really having a hard time now and struggling. It's temporary.
Now, hold. I just want to say this. It's temporary if you keep moving forward.
Sorry, so people have got their mics open and you're echoing. Just 1 second.
Oh, so are you echoing?
No, you are.
Oh, that's you.
Whoa, that was horrible. Okay.
Okay, I'm surprised. That was like aliens were coming in at that point. It was like, oh, yeah. I mean, there is an end to it if you keep moving forward through it. But if you stay there as long as you're going to stay there, right? And this is one of those things, and I talked to Lisa about it, and Lisa and I were interviewed on Saturday by Randy Moggins and Emily Moyer for Off Planet Radio. Awesome. Can't wait for that to come out. That's going to be a really good one. Great conversation. But there's a lot of people holding on and they keep falling back into into the traps. And if you allow yourself to keep falling back into the traps, then you're not moving forward. Right? It's like it's a process, but you have to get yourself out. You have to keep moving forward to get past it. So it's
like one of those LA highway systems that are just like chaos, right? There is one straight highway. If you just stay on it, it will get you there. But there are loop-de-loops and exits and all sorts of shit.
And roundabouts, right smack in the middle. And get on the roundabout. You can just keep going round the roundabout. And round and round. And round and round until you remember to get off the roundabout to keep going forward.
If you do that, none of these phases last very long.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, you can go through it in a couple of weeks right now, all of it seems like. So then, okay, who has felt like they've gone through the membrane? Now, for me, it literally felt like I was sitting inside a jellyfish. It may not be that for you guys. It may be something else, but there's usually a sense of water. There's water plays a part. It may just be the dreams. It may be something else. For me, it was, I guess, 3 things. And I think the membrane feeling lasted a couple of weeks, where I literally felt like I was sitting inside a jellyfish. And when I felt into it, it would change and go kind of like an opaque glass. There was days where I felt like the air around me was water. I felt like I was walking through water against a stream or a current, literally. My legs would feel like they were wading through water as I was walking.
Okay, so I'm going to give, because I didn't feel it as water. For me, I felt it as the thickness of the energy, if you will, around me. So I didn't perceive it as water, but there was really about a week, 2 week time where everything around me felt thick. Where the energy felt thick, I felt thick. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Oh yes, Groot, I know. And when you came out the other side, all of a sudden there was a lightness. It was like, ah. Am I frozen, or is Lisa frozen?
Well, not you, for me.
Oh, there you go. Okay, you were just frozen for a second. Just your video. For me, it wasn't even so much that I noticed. It was like a hindsight thing. I didn't so much notice it as I was going through it, as when you come out the other side. It's kind of like, you know, the absence of pain can be profound. If you've lived with something that's been like a nagging pain, the day you wake up without it, you go, oh, wow. And that's what it was for me. Going through it, I didn't really notice it that much. As when I got to the other side, it was just like, oh, everything just feels lighter. Everything feels like not dragging on me.
Yep.
And so that's would be my way of verbally trying to explain how I felt. And that was that whole Christmas into New Year's for me. That whole Christmas into New Year's into that first week. And it was it was heavy, it was thick, and then kind of come out the other side and go, oh, whew.
Okay, so there's a lot of people relating to that too. So when you do pop out the other side, that's for me where you hit the waiting room. And the first thing is this sense of, it's an energetic dead zone, like nothing's happening. You may well want to sleep a lot.
Yeah, and I did. And that was exactly, Donna, you're dead right. I didn't even think about it until you wrote that. I was like, yeah, just sleep. Like sleep. It was like you
need to recover.
It's exactly.
First bit
recovery
is
sleep.
Yeah.
I faced 48 hours of labor. God damn it, I need to fucking sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can sleep after having troubles. And then you notice perhaps that it's this energetic dead zone. And then it just starts to get more and more boring because you're now used to all of this activity.
Coming at you. Go, wait, where'd it go? I'm bored.
Now, what's changed for me, I'll get to that in a sec, because there's more to this first stage, I feel. Rest and recovery for what you had just been through. Then it's starting to project your programs onto the blank slate walls of this waiting room so that you can see them and others can see them. And even people who are physically feeling like the world is shaking when there's no earthquake, I reckon that's part of this too. It's almost like you're being shaken to drop your shit. Drop it, right? Once you've dropped enough, I think you move up another chair. You can move up a chair in the waiting room. You can put down the Reader's Digest.
You get pick up the next month's Reader's Digest.
What? Okay. So in this space, hang on, I still think that I'm going to mute all again. No harmony mags, no.
National Geographic is the next level.
There was a realization for me a couple of days ago that, and I was feeling it, I've been feeling it really drop into my body, right? That I'll just let this truck or bus or whatever it is. I'm brand new in this space. I was literally born yesterday, right? I can let go of everything that I brought into this space. Every concept I have of myself, my story, it doesn't exist here. This is brand spanking new. It is a clean slate.
Philip, that was terrible. Just terrible.
This is where how do I put this? Who you are as a soul, as a being, has the opportunity, and even this part is going to be a process, I know, but I feel like I've gotten a glimpse of what the process is leading to. This is where your soul gets a chance to express itself properly. And the body will start to change, okay? So you might be starting to heal. You might be starting to physically change and alter and look different. Something's going on in this space that's, I can feel, God, I know this sounds weird as fuck, but I can feel the codes that in the physical, switching on, waking up, changing, morphing, rewriting. They're doing all kinds of things. And it's more in alignment with my true essence. I don't know how else to explain this because this is all very, very new. Like the last 72 hours kind of thing, new. I've been saying for ages, I feel like it's a two-step process. Whatever this is that we're going through is a two-step process. So there's two steps, but there's multiple processes within the two steps. So step one is go through the membrane and into this waiting room. But we've already talked about what a process that is. And then once you're in the waiting room, it's another process. And then there is the last veil, the seventh veil, whatever that is. Well, I think I know what that is. Well, I've got sort of. we've been talking about, I can't remember how long ago it was, that we don't have to go anywhere, that we are already here. Home is here. It's just our perceptions. You know, they say that we can see this much on the light spectrum out of, you know, this, and same for hearing, same for all our senses. That the last veil may well be that we drop our perception. The only reason the world looks exactly the same as it did physically as before the waiting room is because that we brought that with us. This is the projection that we're projecting. The last veil may well be that all of that just drops, and we see where we really are. But there's a process. Once you hit this waiting room, there's a process before that last one drops.
And I think for each person, that process is going to be
Any
different.
of that makes sense to anybody? Probably.
Do you know what I mean? Like, as each person is different,
I
and
think
each person
the
goes
theme
through
will
their
be the
little-
same. Like, because we've been
Sorry, say again?
seeing themes, right? For months and months and months, there's been themes with everyone. Themes within dreams, themes within visions, themes within experiences. So I think the themes will continue, but how it individually plays out can vary. Like for me, jellyfish, for you, dense energy. So, but it's still part of that theme.
Yeah. Well, and this is, we have, everyone's different in how they perceive. It's like you said, you have your visuals that are your analogies that you work with. So everyone perceives things differently. Some might perceive it visually differently. Some might hear it differently. Some might, do you know what I'm saying? So it's really interesting. Are you screen sharing?
No.
No. I don't know how to get rid of this. I'm trying. There we go. I was going somewhere when I said that, and now it's just gone right out of my head. Manifesting right now.
Yes.
Manifesting right now is on a whole new level. And I keep having the expression going through my head of be careful what you wish for. Because I have multiple times have had instances where it's things like you say, you know, well, I better not do that. It'll make me feel sick. Or I'll better not do that. It'll give me a headache. And you end up with a headache. And you sit there and go, okay, that was like instant manifestation. Do you know what I'm saying? Or, I don't know, it's like the little things are manifesting in a way that at such speed, it's kind of crazy. So for me, we all have our own programs. We all have our own things that we have to deal with. We all have our own baggage that we're dealing with. And I've gone through multiple kind of like ups and downs for the last month of seeing stuff and dealing and seeing stuff. And early on last week, I had something, don't laugh, Dawn, the pasta did fucking show up. The pasta, so I talked about, was it last week? The missing bag of pasta? I opened the kitchen cupboard 2 days ago. Quinlan was standing right next to me when I did it, and it was right fucking there. And it was like, if that bag of pasta had been there, we all would have seen it. Like eye level, right fucking there, and it was a 1 kilo bag of pasta. It wasn't like, it was a little spice bottle or something. Fucking this big with a bright blue label on it. It was right fucking there. And I was just like, oh, you fucker. But what did I say earlier on that day? The kids were like, Mommy, what are we going to have for dinner tonight? I was like, I don't know. Do you guys want pasta? I can go to the store and get some. Do you want pasta? They're all like, yeah, we want pasta. And I'm getting ready to go to the store, and you guys doing the inventory, open the fucking cupboard drawer, the fucking bag of pasta was sitting right there. So, anyways. Yeah, just literally. Thank you for reminding me of that. I was going to talk about that anyways. We have shit in our lives. And it seems like there's been like spotlights on different things that we're dealing with, whether it's our own baggage surrounding us as far as things that are going on in our immediate reality, right? Living situations, whatever, housing, jobs, etc. And I sat there last week at one point early on in the week and said, okay, you know what? No more of this gray. I need black or white now. So if I'm supposed to do something, if I have to make a change, if I'm supposed to make some changes here, I need it given to me in black and white. Make it absolutely apparent the things that I need to deal with in order to keep going, right? Like, what are the things, but you, like universe, you make them real black and white. So I can't question, there can't be any more of these gray areas. The next day, several things played out that made me go, okay, wow, that's my answer. That is my answer. And over the course of the week, several of the issues that I've had going in my mind made themselves really, really clear to me. Really, really clear. And it was like, oh, see? And it's like, you asked for it today. So I was going to say to you, Lise, so after we finished talking, and I just set that whole intent, and I closed my eyes, and I sat back, and it was like, what's in a word? Do I want to go home? I don't know what home is. I want to set this intent of, I want to see this reality for what it really is, not with the programming. I don't want to see my programming projecting onto it. I don't want to see my own bullshit that I am placing in here. I want to see it for what it is. And I immediately, it was just like getting a wash with this wave of energy, kind of just like, whoo, over me. And I felt really, really relaxed and really comfortable. And when I got up, there was a whole new sense. There was a whole new peace. And it was, I was joking with everyone today saying, I'm bored. I'm so fucking bored. I'm so fucking bored. It wasn't even so much bored. I was in a great mood. But all of a sudden, all these things just didn't interest me anymore. Like all this stuff that I would normally do to fill my day, i.e. going and researching something, going down and go watch a video that someone's sent to me, had no interest for me. I didn't even care. I just was like, I don't even want to watch it. No. And I didn't want to do anything.
I just want to talk to a couple of things you've said before.
Okay, good. Shoot.
Before you go too far, and I've got too many. This space, this waiting room, whatever. Like I said, I can't feel any interference. Can't feel any of the fuckery. There is no other beings. There's no Dracos, like I said. There's no reptiles. There's no nothing. There's no demons. There's
no demons.
There's nothing
there's
here.
No, yeah.
Right. And as far as tech goes, it feels like there is one tech, which is the original organic AI, whatever, that
the program
runs the space for us. It's the one that we have a direct communication feedback loop with. It's the one that is how it was supposed to work in the other construct, but there's so much interference, right? So the manifestation thing, there's no interference between you and it anymore. It's just this constant real-time feedback loop. Anything is possible in this space. Anything was possible in the old space. But we've still got our programmings. Yep, they're out. What else did you touch on that I wanted to say something about? So there was manifestation and
dealing with your shit.
No, wasn't that the Schumann resonance? Oh,
I want to talk about that too.
Okay,
but let's go back to that because
someone brought to my attention that the word human is within the word Schumann, right? So, and that it's, I can't remember when I said it, but I said it in the last week, that it's like the feeling very much is that the Schumann resonance and us, it's another feedback loop, right? It's measuring our consciousness.
Well, that was the whole thing. We keep looking. So there was a really good article that was put out about the Schumann resonance and frequencies, etc. And it was a good read. It's been posted everywhere. It's really gone all over the place on Facebook. Really good read. Some interesting stuff. I kind of like a lot of the stuff what the person had to say, except that I really think that it's not a matter. And we kind of touched on this when we were talking about the magnetics. It's not the Earth's frequencies affecting us. It's the reverse. It's our frequencies affecting the changes in the Earth. It's the complete opposite from what we've always assumed.
Yep.
And I think that is a really big piece, a really, really important piece for everyone to kind of realize.
But I do feel like it's a feedback loop. So as we raise in consciousness, the Schumann resonance raises, which supports us where we're at, which supports us to raise more, which gets measured. It's feedback, but it is primarily from us. I agree with you completely.
So here's this. Try this on for size. So we talked, you and I earlier today. We talked about waves. Like you have the waves of people going through, right? And it's kind of like, you know, the first wave goes through and gets to this place, and then the next wave, and etc. The first wave, perhaps, is the one who starts raising the frequencies of the Schumann, and then that reflects back and helps the next wave. And then as that gets stronger, so the next wave catches up, and then it reflects back into the Schumann, which helps the next wave. So it's like a building a stair thing. So you start here, and each level reflects back, bringing the next level behind up in the frequencies. Does that make sense?
Exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. I completely agree with you.
Well, that's a change. Actually, completely agree with me.
That's happened before.
I know, once or twice.
Sure of it.
Exponential change in potential. Yeah, nicely said, Jerry. Exponential change in potential. Yeah.
Now, compared to the construct, compared to the old construct, this waiting room feels pretty barren. Right? It's not full by any means.
Oh.
There's not a lot of people in here compared to there. What?
Does it feel small to you? I have this overwhelming.
It did at first when I first got in. It literally felt like a waiting room.
No. Okay. Okay. So it feels small, i.e., my bubble of reality is much smaller, to the point of visually. So I'm on the 5th floor of a building, and our building is at the top of a hill. So it gives us a pretty good broad view to the hills behind us on the island to out to the sea. If you can imagine, like we'd look at the sky is like this big dome of clouds over us and all the rest of it. All of a sudden, instead of being this big dome, like i.e. like the dome over the whole planet type thing, it feels like the dome is over my island. When I look and I'm looking out across the land, it's like I can see the dome is like right fucking there. Everything feels very tight and really condensed. Like my little bubbled island is like my little bubbled island. Like it's very small. I don't, did that make sense? That was the one thing I felt. Yeah, overwhelmingly. It's like everything got very small, condensed.
Did she freeze or me?
That was me. My internet is we have a really wicked windstorm going on right now.
Yeah, mine is dodgy too, and there's no explanation for it. My visual is different. Like when I first got in here, it literally didn't feel any bigger than my bedroom, and I felt like I was the only one in it. But as time went on, I could feel more people in it. And one of the things that has changed, like I said, in the last 72 hours, is this realization that it's not so much a little square cube room anymore. It's actually a long hallway. Like there's this feeling of expanse, and it's to my right for whatever reason. And that there is this process of moving along down the hallway. So it's changed. So I'd be interested to know if and when that sense of your little dome bubble changes. Because that's how it's visually playing out for me.
Well, like I said, for me, it's just a visual that is just clicked with me just now. Talking, you saying, and thinking about the idea of like almost like a little white room in the Rubik's Cube type thing. That just my thoughts over the last, especially the last, looking out, just feeling small. Sorry?
Sorry, we're talking over each other because the internet's.
Yeah, it's shitty at the moment.
Someone said they can relate to that, and that felt like theirs got bigger last night. Tracy's saying hers feels like it expands and contracts depending on surrounding energies.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
It's a very small bubble.
Stacey just said biosphere. That was my feeling. It was like instead of this, planetary biosphere, all of a sudden it felt like it got like I could see the edges of it. That's visually what it feels. Now we've had a lot of cloud cover, but it literally feels like I can see the entire edges of it all.
Okay, so the other thing, and I did mention this on that interview with Randy, that a lot of us have talked about not being able to see past March. From the visual I get,
that wasn't actually in the
like a calendar you would have on your wall. Oh, was it?
We actually talked about that after we stopped recording.
So it's like like I said, calendar that you would have on your wall, but I can see it laying down on an angle, and it's got February, and then it's got March, and then there's a wall. And it's like this, again, it's like a frosted glass opaque wall. And that's what I've been seeing for ages. And then, can't remember how long ago, but there was this energy I could feel sense on the other side of the wall. And then normally when we've talked about energy waves coming in, like you can feel this wave and you kind of ride the wave and then sometimes it just
peters out.
deflates, or it peters out, you know, that sort of thing. So whenever I've felt those coming, it literally has visually been a wave, like a physical wave. And it's chaotic at the top, you know, it's crashing chaos, this big energy wave. I can't, how long ago was it? Because when did we do the interview? Sunday morning for me, so maybe
Saturday
last Thursday, Friday. That energy that was on the other side of the wall popped through the wall and is now sitting over March. And for the very first time, it doesn't look like a wave. It is a sphere. It's a beautiful, clean, soft ball of energy. It's not like the waves of the past, for me anyway. And I can see it sitting, it's still sitting over the end of March. I don't know if this represents the last veil. I have no idea what it represents yet. It hasn't moved yet since it popped through the wall.
The 4400, the ball of light in the 4400?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. It's really clean. It feels really good. But it's coming. I can feel it coming. That's all I can say on that, actually, at the moment. Has anybody else got that feeling like something's coming and it's good and positive and
there goes the room. Yes.
It's close.
Yes.
Something immense. March 17th keeps coming out. Yeah. Yes, I wish it would happen right now too. So whatever is left of this process, I think we need to go through it before the end of March at this point. So wherever you are in this process, the whole purpose of talking about this the way we are today is to try and help, support, let you know that you're not alone, because everyone's either going through it or they're a step behind you in the process, or they're a step ahead of you in the process. It doesn't matter. But it's a process, and we all end up.
There's always the chance that people may not go through the same process and the same steps at the same time, in the same order, right? Like it might be one of those things where what appears in front of you at that moment, or what is the most biggest thing for you to deal with in that moment, is the step that you go through.
Well, yes and no. For me, each veil, each of the 6 veils have a definite flavor.
Right, but what I'm saying is I'm not looking at them as linearly. I'm looking at, they are the 6 veils, and there might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or there might be 2, 4, 6, 1, 3, 5, depending on.
It doesn't feel like that to me. It doesn't feel like they can be out of sequence. It feels like there is a definitive sequence. Because, like we talked about when we first started talking with Lulu and going back through the layers, it's like that. It's like these were layers that were put on, or veils that were put in place, and they were put in place in sequence, and we're going back through them in sequence.
Maybe.
It feels like that to me. I mean, yeah, everyone's experience will be personal as they go through them, but it still feels like there is a sequence and there is a theme to each of them. That's how it feels to me, though. Yes, I did see yellow roses. recent update. Does anyone get what I'm saying?
Oh my
or am I on my?
The chat is going so fast, I'm having issues reading it.
Okay. Okay.
One of the things, and I mean, I basically touched on it in 2 of the different recordings that I did. But one of the things that I think is the most important pieces for people to really kind of understand or comprehend is this staying neutral, not allowing yourself to get sucked into the drama, get sucked into the programs, get sucked into the one side or the other side. It is, like when you talk about that, every fiber of your being, for me right now, every fiber of my being is just like screaming, like we need to just get rid of those pieces of programming. And maybe that's one of the things, maybe that's why some of the shit is going on out there that we see, like, you know, with the Trump stuff and the Brexit stuff and fucking Super Bowl fucking and the Pope blessing the Super Bowl. What the fuck, right? Is for us to really see it and have that opportunity to identify that piece when we react to pieces, whether it's the Pizzagate stuff, all of this stuff. There's a lot of people really still reacting. And I think it is so important that people are aware to look at it. Sorry?
I think all that stuff that's happening out there, well, all that stuff that's happening out there is it's perfect. It's designed to get you to trigger out. It's designed to get you to see where your triggers are, your programs are. And if you look at it that way, that it's serving you to not polarize, not pick a side, not all of that stuff.
That's exactly what I mean. But it only serves you if you see it.
Yep.
And you identify it for what it is. Right? I'm watching people having the same arguments over and over on the same topics over and over. And it's like they can't help themselves but fall into an automatic response. It's like sometimes even in the Unfocus room, a post will come up and I can almost know exactly who's going to respond and how they're going to respond. Because it's like there's like an instantaneous response. It goes ba-boom, ba-boom. And it's like, if that is programming, that is when I see those kinds of things going on, I just think we need to be so aware and responsible for our reactions. And I was saying to this to you before, like earlier today, this whole thing of like being responsible for our actions is more important right now than any other time as far as I'm concerned. That intent that we set, the manifestations that, like I said, be careful what you wish for type thing, which means we have to be responsible for ourselves, responsible for what we want, responsible for how we act, how we respond to things. It is really, really important.
The other thing that's been big for me is that it's an inside job. It's an individual inside job.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think what can help is to pull your attention back into here. Stop worrying about who you're going to bring with you and who you're going to leave behind, because they have to, you can open the door, but they've got to walk through it by themselves. So, and you help by walking through the door yourself, getting yourself into the waiting room and standing there and going, hey, I'm here. And, you know, there's a Reader's Digest waiting for you with your name on it. But no one can do it for you. You can't do it for anybody else.
Yep.
You've got to just, it's a lonely process in a way. It is quite lonely.
Yep.
And that's okay. It's okay, because once you get through that process, you realize you're not anymore. What else?
You know what? I guess, someone just said waiting for people to catch up. And that's a really tough one. And that might be one of the pieces that we all are working on in ourselves. The worry, the concern, et cetera, et cetera. But Lisa's right. Like, you can't make anyone jump through faster. They're going to go through it at their own pace. And maybe that's another aspect of the being responsible. If you hold yourself back.
Oh, I just thought of it. That dream that I had, there was a woman standing in front of the veil, and she started to emanate music, right? She wasn't singing, she was emanating music. And the music itself pulled me through the veil. And then we did it again and again and again. And that kind of is what we can, if we're going to try and help each other, is what we can do. We pull people, we can sing people, we can, but you've got to go there yourself first.
Yeah.
You can't do it. You can't.
Well, it goes back to the wave analogy and what we were just talking about with the Schumann resonance, right? It takes the first people going through to send that frequency back to help the next group go through. If that makes sense.
I think, well, I'm just going to answer the questions that are coming up about it. Yes, it was a dream. And what I think she was showing me was that I had been through 6 of the veils. But I've already done that. And when I woke up just prior to going through the 7th. I couldn't get through the 7th. And I knew it. And the time just isn't right. There's still more work I have to do, whatever the reason, there's still more work I have to do. But because I was focused, it was right at the time when I was in this membrane thing. And I went to sleep with the intent of going through the veils, getting through this, whatever this is. And yeah, it feels like she was showing me that I already have gone through 6. And the membrane itself was coming into the waiting room. And like I said, the waiting room is changing and morphing. When you first get in there, it feels like you're the only one in there and it's small. And then it does start to grow and you can feel there are others in there. And I don't know, maybe each of these waiting rooms, maybe there's one for every soul group or one for every whatever, I don't know. Maybe we don't all end up in the same one.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to the analogy that I keep joking about. It's the fact of like, this is just my own little reality and you guys are all figments of my imagination anyway. So as we go through it, it's like each of us in our own individual Truman Show, perhaps. We can see each other, we can interact with each other, we can do all these things together, but our reality is still our own little bubble.
So if anyone wants to bring their hand up and come out and say anything, share an experience, whatever, you do that by clicking on, I think it's Manage Participants.
Manage Participants, and at the very bottom of Manage Participants.
We've got Manage Participants. They've just got Participants.
Oh, yeah,
and
participant.
You put your hand up. So we've got a couple. So Alison,
go flying up, ding, 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 ding. Maybe we can get some of the people who don't usually come out and talk.
Alison, you're unmuted. AJ?
Hello, I'm trying. So I'm driving to work.
Hi.
No talking and driving.
Nope, we lost you. I think.
Allison.
Tell me when you can hear me.
Oh, yeah,
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. I drove out of my driveway and lost my Wi-Fi. So I wrote in the room this week about asking for help, because my father and my children got into some trouble, and his name is still on my house because I'm not financial enough to manage the loans in the bank size. But as this process is going along, I've gone, holy shit, I hate my life. Every day I'm going, fuck, I just don't want to be here. I just want all this to disappear. And Danny was just talking before about manifesting, and I think it's all sort of coming together going, I've made this happen. I don't want this reality. So maybe it's just like going, we're taking it all from you and you're going to find out who you are. That's just, it's just a thought about the manifesting it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trust me, I have manifested some really weird shit that it's in hindsight, you go back and go, oh, I did that. I definitely did that. Right.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
Note to Danny.
Exactly. And then if I ignore this, what the hell is around the corner?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this is an opportunity to get really clear on what you do want.
Yeah.
Do you want to hold on to
Exactly.
the house? Do you want to, hold on to these things that you say you don't like anymore?
Yes, exactly. And then if I do, I need to clean up my thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Because the thoughts of every day and, your own inner dialogue's going, oh, this is fucked, this is shit, things got to change, this is, I just want out, blah, blah, blah. Stop that inner dialogue because it's making shit happen.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Anyway, that's all.
Here goes your attachment as well.
I'm totally with you. And funny how things just seem to be right now instantly showing us that.
I always kind of thought that I'd hit rock bottom, not as in a bad place, but be barren before it would get better, before the world would get better, not just me, but before everything would change.
Program.
There's a program.
Yeah.
You let go of that one.
Anyway, I'll let you get. Okay. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I can recognize it actually.
All right,
I'll let
thank you.
you get on with people. Cheers.
Awesome. Thanks, Allison.
Yes. There was another hand I saw somewhere.
Cosmic Kate.
Cosmic Kate, you're up.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, darling.
So my son Leo, the other day on Collective Imagination, he was talking. I think that was the same day he was talking about water and the old earth and people fishing. And he started talking about jellyfish. And he was like, they're not jellyfish in the water. It's just like jellyfish. He was like talking about the texture. And when you started talking about the jelly, I was like, oh my God, Leo was talking about that. And I tried to ask him, but he said, I'll tell you tomorrow morning. I tried to ask him when you said that. Leo, remember what you were telling me about the jelly? What was it?
The jelly was jelly monster.
The jelly monster? I don't know, but
Listen, my kids do it to me all the time, Kate.
yeah, I can't make him say it, but
Nope.
he was, I don't know, he was trying to explain it the other day, and he was like, it's like jellyfish that they they fish for in the water, but it's not jellyfish, but it feels like the jellyfish. And I don't know. When she said jelly, I was like, Leo was trying to tell me about the jelly. So I'll try and see if he brings it up again. But that's all. I just wanted to say he had said something about that. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Leo.
Okay, Earl, you're unmuted.
Oh, hey, ladies.
Hi.
Hi. Yeah, so when you were talking about dead energy, that's what I felt during the whole interview that you posted on YouTube with Og. There was no energy from him. Like when Dee does her news thing, like there's energy coming off, but like there's energy. Like when you talk, there's energy. When the interview with Og, there was nothing. It was just words. It was nothing. It didn't feel like truth behind it. You know what I mean? Like when you can feel something real and truthful. And I went through the whole interview, and it brought me back to when I when I watched that video of you, doing your whole 2012 episode, and then you brought up about non-existent energy when you were talking today, and it made me realize. One of the other thoughts that came to me was when you were talking about the waiting room. To me, okay, what if the whole landmass shifting is just preparing us for what the other side is going to look like? And this is why we're getting all these other animals that we haven't seen before, and like that whale that has the funky looking teeth.
Yeah.
So
I got a couple of thoughts on that, and one is what you're saying, that it's closer to home, so home's starting to bleed through.
Yeah.
The other one is that we've all come from different timelines or realities or something, and as we've all come from these different places into the one waiting room, and we're projecting our reality onto the walls, we're getting to see each other's realities. So in somebody's reality, there is a thing called a false.
Whale.
Called a false
killer whale.
And somebody else's reality, there is 6 people in JFK's car. In someone else's, you know what I mean? And we're all projecting this stuff onto the screen for each one to see, for each other to see. So I don't know yet what all that means, but it's interesting either way. But the thing is, no one's right or wrong on this.
No.
If somebody's grown up with false killer whales, then fine. That's what they grew up with. The minute we get caught up in, no, they didn't exist.
It did happen. It didn't happen. And that kind of is one of those things that it is actually one of those topics that comes up in the UU room. And I know there's certain people who are going to argue.
It makes me laugh every time I see, oh, no, that's not a Mandela effect, because that's always been there.
No. For you.
It can still be a Mandela effect, just not for you.
Exactly.
Oh, and also what you brought up with, how you sort of have this feeling of a dome right over you. I did see that in one of the pictures that someone posted in the UU room, where it just looked like the clouds sort of like do this sort of bending thing, over the horizon, it just looks freaking ass weird. Where the clouds really look straight, and you see, like, you don't see the far distance, but then
Yep.
you see
And that's what I
it, and
mean. That's what I'm seeing right now is it's gone from like this to like the clouds are just like this. They come right down and you can't see in the far distance. It's not like they taper off. It's just like it's almost like I can see the edges of them.
that's how I felt when we had the fog like 2 weeks ago, where it just felt like a poorly shitty rendered video game. It's like, holy shit, like I could see the church, but the church looked like it was all poorly rendered, but there was a fog there. It just looked all weird, and I just am like, okay, there's things that are going on here that I don't understand, but I am so excited to see what comes. Now I'm hoping there's something after March, because I don't want to feel like the Wile E. Coyote trying to go through that hole in the wall that the Roadrunner went through, and I want to go through, and I just went right into the wall, or the train comes and hits me. Either way,
something will change.
yeah.
Thanks, all.
You're welcome. Bye.
Just before I bring Jeannie out, I just remembered the TV show Lost. I never watched it. I watched when it very first came out. I think I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and it bored me, and I never went back. But as I was describing this waiting room business the other day, our beautiful Shah said, "Sounds like you're describing the last episode of Lost."
I only watched the first 2 seasons. I was in the Congo at the time, and someone gave me, when we left, the first 2 seasons to take with me, and I've never seen anything past the first 2 seasons.
JJ Abrams again.
All about
JJ. Something's going on with JJ. My God.
what?
Went and watched it. JJ Abrams, right? This dude knows exactly what the fuck's going on. I went and watched the last episode, the very final ending of Lost. Whenever I'd caught, 2 minutes of Lost, because I walked into a room where somebody was watching it or something, I remember thinking, I was like, God, there's everything in this show. Everything. Like, can't they pick a theme? Can't they pick a scenario? Because it's like, there's something.
Plane crashes and monsters.
So the premise is, the plane crashes, and what this all boils down to is they did all die. And they spend the next 6 seasons working through all their fears, projecting all their shit, instantly manifesting their thoughts, everything that we're talking about, until one of them figures it out. And then he brings them all together in a room, in a church, as it turns out. The other theme throughout this episode was the word remember, which has been another big one for us. Remember. And which took me back to Org's words, which were, we all died in 2012. The whole thing ended in 2012, right? So there's a bit of that going on. So they all get into this room, and they all remember that they died, essentially, and they remember that their 6 years together, their 6 seasons together, what really was them helping each other and working through their shit with each other. And then the doors of the church open, and then there is the beyond that they move into. And I was like, fuck, J.J. Abrams. What is it with this dude? He did Fringe.
He did.
He's my hero.
I
doing Fringe.
Yeah. Stay tuned. Sometime in the near future.
He also did the 11/22/33, or whatever that thing was.
And Westworld.
And Westworld.
And Westworld.
So yeah, the guy's onto something.
Yeah.
Jeannie or Jenny,
Hi.
you're unmuted, darling.
Can you hear me?
Oh, we're good, but you're really soft at the
barely.
moment.
Is that better? Is that better?
Keep going.
All right. Maybe my Bluetooth thingy is still. No, it's not on. I don't know why
That's
it's not
better.
working. Okay. All right.
There you go.
There's a couple of points I wanted to make. One was last night I had a really bizarre dream, and that was actually breaking through 3 membranes of like that water gelatin type thing. I just went, oh, I've got to get through these 3 quickly. And there was a whole lot of stuff in each one, but I didn't sort of stop to have a look around. I just went boom, 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 boom. And I exploded through the 3 very fast. And then I found myself in this other space, which was just more space. Like it was really quite calm and empty and really amazing. Other than that, I don't remember much more. So that was pretty bizarre. The other point I wanted to make, oh, actually there's a couple, was with regards to March. I have a feeling around March is more the fact, particularly Lisa, you know, there's a few of us that feel that March has this, can't see really beyond it. And I've been thinking I've been in this weird bubble thing for a while now, because I just feel so detached from even family members. I love them, but it's almost like I forget to call my dad, and it's because he sort of exists in another space for me now. And there's this energy around it that makes me feel that I'm already halfway in between into this new space. And if March could possibly be that energy that we're feeling is very different as opposed to the wave thing, is maybe the place where we create with a clear mind, because we really got to be in that place of discipline, that we're more aware of how we're thinking things through, because we don't want to be creating that kind of stuff. So I think we're just sort of finishing off a conscious understanding of what we're thinking in this space before we move into the next space. It's just a thought, but that's what it feels like to me. And the other thing that came up for me too, which I was going to talk to you guys in the CI room, was the lady who, or the friend of mine whose house I'm staying in, her little boy, who is just the most divine little kid. He's just beautiful. He has 2 little favourite toys that he sleeps with every night. And on Wednesday, when I had a whole lot of bizarre stuff going on, Lisa, I wrote to you about that, and a bit of interference and things, his toys disappeared, and his 2 favourite toys that he sleeps with every night. And we have searched this house high and low, and little Santa and little Koala are nowhere to be found. So I'm hoping from some of the comments I've seen, because I've tried everything to try and retrieve them from whatever space reality they've disappeared to, haven't been able to get them back, that they will come back in the next couple of weeks. So if anyone's got any thoughts on that, I would really love that, because I just want to see a smile on this little boy's face, and his mother's as well.
When did you say you had this dream about the 3 layers? Was it just last night?
That was last night, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I've missed the first half hour today, so I don't know if that's when you were, because you mentioned a dream, so I don't know when that happened for you, and if you spoke about that earlier. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, I just went smashing through these layers. And the other thing, my mother has passed away 5 years ago, and we used to talk about this stuff together all the time, and she kept saying, I really don't want to die yet, because I wanted to have this experience with you. So for the last 5-6 weeks, every night she's in my dreams, every single night. Sometimes she's sick, like she was before she passed. Another time she's just, you know, like this amazing soldier. But she's in my dreams, and she was really strong in them last night. So I don't know whether she's singing a little heart out trying to get me through, but there is something to that sound thing, because I keep hearing like music or feeling it. It's sort of, I feel it from the inside out, from the heart. Yeah?
Yep.
Yeah. That makes sense?
Yeah, and I want to go back to what you said before about this energy that's coming and it being a place where we can manifest very cleanly or whatever.
Yeah.
So just go back to Lulu for a second, because she said months ago that you are now in the space of no time. And she actually said what you do in here cannot affect outside of it. So, yeah, and then a few days ago, whatever day that was, she popped in again when I was talking about this waiting room, and she said, yes, Lisa, you are in the space of no time. So what you're saying is true. It's like this waiting room is like a safe zone where we can work through and project all of our bullshit and programs and all of that, and there's no real repercussions. You know, it's a way of, it's a training ground to remember and realize that your thoughts create, and it's a safe space to do that in. Does that make sense?
Yeah. That's what it feels like. It feels like you're tidying up all your thoughts, and anything that's the residue is being brought to the forefront in order for you to just identify and release them. But you're not really, you're not attached to them in the same way, but it helps you to understand your own process and what's programmed and what's not. That's my instinct. And so therefore, once you're feeling that and you're not buying into any emotion or drama in your day-to-day stuff, the only thing that's really got to me is these two toys, because of little Marty having to be so distressed each night, because he's such a sensitive soul, and to have his two friends that he cries about because he said they're not safe. I want them home, and I want them with me, and he's worried about their safety, and he doesn't feel that they're okay. So that's the only thing that I've actually noticed an emotional response in.
I'm sorry to Carl just said something. Doctor Strange in the movie, in that dimension, she opens the mirror dimension, which is the safe place for them to work in.
Yep.
Nicely done, Carl. Sorry.
Is there any way that he, in his process, made his toys disappear?
I don't know. It was on that Wednesday when I had all sorts of things going on. Very strange. That's when my phone was doing the message thing. Siri started talking, and then I saw that flash, and that dude called, and yada, yada, yada. So it all happened that night. Those toys disappeared on that night.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of flashes, I was talking to Donna on Zoom, and I was out in my living room, and suddenly she's like, what was that? And she saw something behind me, and I didn't see it. So I moved my thing a little, my computer, so that I had a broader, I sat back, had a bigger view, and we just kept chatting. And then at one point, I swear, it was a silver, sparkly streak went through my house.
Yeah.
I have no idea what that was. at that point, I turned on the record button just in case it happened again and I could catch it on camera, but it didn't happen again. So is that what you mean?
Yeah, I saw. My gosh, it was like a massive flash. It was like a bluey silver color, and they're almost like, some of them are like a rip, but this was like massive. It was a massive light source, and I just knew straight away that was some sort of strange tech thing that was happening. And I was on that phone call at that time when that happened. So I don't know. There's obviously things that we're all trying to piece together, but it is getting closer and closer. There's definitely some, I don't know. We're almost there.
Well, the whole interesting thing, what you were talking about, you just said that happened on Wednesday.
Yeah.
That Tuesday, Wednesday, there was several people talked about a shift happened during that day.
Right.
Now, I've had a lot of weird. Time is irrelevant now. I don't know what day of the week it is. Well, I know it's Monday today because here we are. Other than that, like, time has really become irrelevant. But there was some weird shifts. I shouldn't say weird, not weird like bad, but there was shifts that happened last week. And there was a lot of people who noted it. And I'm pretty sure it was Wednesday that there were several people who talked about strange things. And I myself had gone through a couple of things and had some dreams that had come through that were really boom. I don't know. It's one of those things. It seems like some of the stuff that we do independently.
Mm-hmm.
But then sometimes there's things that happen and it's like a group thing. It's not just something that's in our own personal reality bubble. It's like there's something that kind of comes through and a whole bunch of people all experience it at once.
Yeah, I agree. And also, I think with what Lisa and what you're saying, Danny, and especially with regards to this energy, whatever it is, this blue silver thing that happened Wednesday in particular, it is it's not orbs. I mean, I've taken photos of orbs, I've taken photos of beings and things like that, and this is such a different thing. So my mind, my logical mind, is just saying that it believes it's possibly a tech thing because I don't understand it more than that at this point. I'm sure there's more to it, but I did write in the dream thing that I had this, that was a couple of days, a week ago, or I don't know, I forget, I can't work out time, but I heard like a doorbell, but it was 4 distinct tones, and it just filled my heart, and it felt like it was moving through one of those layers, and it had the blue silver lines in it too. So I don't know, maybe it's a layer thing.
The silver flash that I had didn't feel like tech. It actually felt like a being. It felt conscious. It felt.
Well, yeah, in that dream, that blue silver thing.
Can't hear you, Jeannie.
Sorry, can you hear me?
We couldn't hear. No.
Oh, you got me again?
Yeah, but you're very faint all of a sudden.
Oh, I don't know. I haven't.
No, now you're back.
Oh, hello. Yeah, no, the that blue silver tone thing is an incredible energy. It's beautiful. I don't know whether the one I saw on Wednesday was trying to mimic that, and it didn't feel as real. But there is a new frequency that we're coming into. I don't know. That's what I'm feeling.
Mm.
Anyway, that's it.
Thank you.
Someone else might want to say something. Okay. See you
Thank
guys.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay.
all. Okay, we got a few hands up.
And we're at like 12 minutes.
Are you okay if we go over, or are you
No,
desperate?
I'm having something to eat right now because I was starting to get rather offside. So I was like, I'll just eat something. So I'm eating the last piece of apple crumble.
Oh, I did see them. Here we go. JJ. We've got a JJ. You're unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. The last caller talking about stuff disappearing. I play around with headphones and stuff a lot, and I modify them. And I had material, plastic, rubber, whatever stuff on my desk. When I was
Hey. Okay. Let's try that again.
Am I still
Okay,
there?
you're unmuted again.
You're unmuted
Okay.
again.
You're back.
So, at any rate, I had a bunch of craft material spread all over my desk, and I had these 2 triangle pieces of black padding, and I put them off to my right. And I was cleaning up after the process, and they were gone. They had just left. They were nowhere on my desk. They just disappeared. I mean, it wasn't like I moved them or anything like that. They just disappeared. And I went, where the heck? So I started looking everywhere. And I spent like 10 minutes looking over and through, gone. 3 days later, right where I left them, boop, popped right back up.
Mhm.
So, and I figure probably the only reason they came back is because I didn't try to make them come back. They seemed to come back just because, well, we're done. Let's whatever. So,
My dinner plates still haven't turned up. I went ahead to buy 2 new ones to replace them.
well, unfortunately, well, at any rate. So this stuff disappearing has happened before, and it's very odd. I haven't been able to like piece together a sequence of events or rationalization or reasons or any of that stuff. It just happens and it comes back, or at least it did that time.
Can I tell you guys my theory of the little blue men?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure I've said this on the show months and months ago. Lisa's heard this story. So I have this theory. You see that all of reality is drawn by little tiny blue men, kind of like Smurfs. And every so often, and it's like, like the frames of old cartoons where you draw each frame of the cartoon. And every so often, one of them gets hung over or drunk, and he forgets something in the frame, like your car keys. And they just disappear. They've disappeared. They were not drawn into the frame. And you go along, and then all of a sudden, like the foreman guy comes along and goes, you dipshit, you forgot the fucking keys. Smack them in the back of the head. They draw them back in the frame, which is why they reappear a day, an hour, a month later in the exact same spot where you knew they were.
That sounds about right.
That's my theory of the little blue man.
I'll keep that in mind and address them this next time it happens. Hey, wake up! Come on, get over the drunk, whatever.
That theory has been one of my best friends from high school. We have tossed around this theory since we were about 17 years old. We came up, like I was 17, her and I both were only a few days apart in age. And it may have even been at one of our birthday parties. And when we came up with the theory of the little blue men, it involved a lot of drugs. I will not lie. But to this day, we've never ever come up with another explanation that better explains it than the little blue men just forgot to paint it into the picture.
I'd say whatever works. Okay, next on my little hit list here, we talked earlier about magnetics interacting and the Schumann resonance, it affecting us affecting it. The Schumann resonance isn't a single frequency. It's a whole band of frequencies. And everyone says, oh, it's 7.83 hertz, or it's 16 hertz, or 11. No. No, it's a whole
It's an orchestra.
It's an orchestra, yeah.
Right.
And
I saw an article that says it's for the first time the Schumann resonance hit 36 hertz, and I went, no. They're not getting it, but that's okay. But the thing about the Schumann resonance is it's a natural resonance of the planet, well, the construct of the planet, and our own magnetic manifestation or presence. In other words, our torus field is generated from our heart. And all of us interact with those resonances, and they affect each other. So to me anyway, it isn't so much that we affect the Schumann resonance or the Schumann resonance affects us, or one's primary or whatever. It's that there's an interaction. There's an interaction between all of us, and that defines, it's the cumulative, the collective, if you will, that defines where it goes. And
Yep.
how it goes, and the strengths and all of that stuff. And the more people become or get in touch with those, I don't want to call it the inner not the inner dialogues, but the inner energetics that we are opening up to, or that are sort of washing over us, the more we become familiar with that, the more that becomes something that is comfortable and, we deal with, the more effect it has on not only us, but everybody else around us, as well as the Schumann resonance. And it's a feedback loop. It just keeps going and going and going. Which then brings me into the next one. We talked about the stair-stepping thing of the Schumann resonance. Well, a ways back, I talked about the energetics going up in stair steps. It goes up, and then it kind of levels off and hangs, and then it goes up and then levels off and hangs, and all this kind of stuff. Been doing it for years. Recently, and Danny, you mentioned this about the time frame shortening up. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what I've noticed is the energetic background field, if you want to call it that. I suppose you call it the Schumann resonance, or who knows, is dense and thick, maybe like a jellyfish. I don't know, but it feels like there's mass to it. It's not that it's impeding moving through it, but that there's the feeling that it has substance now, whereas before it was kind of, like water. And now it's got some actual substance to it that is lending, how to put it, lending our connectivity into it, because there's more there, and there's also more of us that is there to interact with it. It's like as the frequencies go up, there's more of us interacting with more of this density, so that the connection, our ability to manifest, is becoming more solid, more real, more capable.
Well, you know what? It kind of, to use Lisa's analogy of the orchestra, right? Or a choir, maybe, is an even better one. If you can listen to a piece of music sung by a chamber choir. Maybe there's only 7-8 people, and they can sing a piece of music, and it can be beautiful, and it can be interwoven harmonies, right? But then you can pull out, for example, a really big choir, and they can sing the same piece, and it's that much bigger because it all combines together. It's the difference between one trumpet playing and 10 trumpets playing, right? So I kind of see that as the analogy of as there are more voices coming in, the crescendo is that much bigger in the interactions between the two.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense. That kind of clicks, because the more people that sing in harmony, the more beautiful the note. And the first aspect, maybe not the first aspect, but one key aspect of that is awareness of that. If you're not aware of it, you're not going to be singing along with it, because it's not even in your world. As soon as you become aware, oh, that's really cool, and you dial into it, your awareness and your focus gets on it, and you start to contribute, that symphony starts to become more not only personable, but not generic, but applicable, maybe is a better word.
Yeah.
Everyone can see where they've got something to contribute to it, and their contributions make it more of a whole. I like that. I like that. Next on my little list here, how to put this? Decades ago, back in the 70s, I realized that I was alone. I mean, I lived in the middle of family, big family, friends, all that kind of stuff. I was alone. There was no one that really understood really what I was seeing or facing, or the fuck uppiness of the world, blah, 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 blah. And there was no one to talk to about it. I mean, no one understood it enough. The awareness wasn't there to where there was any way of bouncing these ideas off someone and have someone contribute back something of meaning and value, and whatever. It would be like, yeah, you're fucking full of shit. You're just a wuss. Dot 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 dot.
You're just crazy.
Just crazy. And so the loneliness was just overpowering. It was. Yep. It was. At any rate, it was what it was. And through that, or because of that, or due to that, it kind of forced me into the observational mode. In other words, all you can do is watch. There's no one to talk to, so all you can do is watch and just see the trends, see the stuff, the topics, the issues, the subjects that pop up on your screen or whatever, and watch them march, through time and morph and change, and notice the sequencing of what does pop up and what doesn't, and what falls off. And in other words, see the patterns of how all of the general consensus of reality is slowly morphing into, well, where we are now, of where more and more people are starting to see through the veil, see the actual makeup of what it is to be down in this gravity well. And that tendency to watch that progression is, to me, what the observer mode's all about. Yeah. And the whole idea is, I've been watching this progression, these ideas pop up and come and go, and morph and get more refined and all this kind of stuff for years and years and years and years. And of late, I'm seeing, well, I mean, take half a step back. What I've noticed is, the more information that we have available to us via books, via the internet, via whatever, and the newer it is, the more complete it seems to be. And by that I mean, if I look back at some of the books and stuff I read back in the 80s and the 90s, they had gems in them and they were really, really helpful at the time, but they don't apply anymore too much. They're kind of missing major pieces. It's like they talk about this, but no, that's kind of twisted and it's not really the way it is now. And that process has been ongoing for, like you say, decades. And what we're getting now is closer to, I don't know if I should say the truth, but closer to, what was that?
Like real time.
Yeah, real time. And the feedback loop of the real time affecting all of the previous content that was sort of there, but not quite refined or focused well enough, and it's becoming more and more and more focused. So our awareness can now focus in on more of the actual reality. In other words, we're not being misdirected, or not, we're more on target, let's put it that way. And the more on target our awareness and our focus is, the more we can affect it and bring out more of its reality so that we can deal with it, and blah, 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 blah. But that's that ongoing process, which is what goes back to the observer mode of waiting or watching or noticing the refinement happen as we all pick up on new nuances and new interrelationships between concepts that we've had for however long. But as we hold these new constructs, or these newly refined constructs in our mind, more nuances come out. So it's a feedback loop on itself kind of a deal. And we hone in on the good stuff. In other words, what really is going on. Because
this is what I think the real disclosure is.
Yeah.
I don't think disclosure is not going to come through WikiLeaks or
Donald Trump or Elizabeth or the Pope.
Or
I think they'll all contribute to it, but it's going to come from within.
Yeah, it's going to come from people sharing. And it'll go like a, hey, Bob.
Hi, Barbara.
And it'll probably go like a virus. I think the disclosure that's going to come out of these official groups is a controlled narrative. It's like they've gotten to a point where they have to admit to certain things because everybody knows it. And that's all they're doing at this point. I haven't seen anything new. I haven't seen anything that we haven't already figured out. It's just like, okay, they've figured this out. The evidence is there. They know it, so we'll concede that piece. And, oh, shit, we need to concede this piece. But we need to put a twist on it. We still need to twist it and lead them down this path with it. It's a controlled narrative. This is disclosure. It's people coming out and sharing their stories, sharing their experiences, sharing their knowings, helping each other, supporting each other. That's disclosure as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And Bob, we can see you. Did you know that? Yeah. Okay, cool. I take it you want to say something. No? You just want us to see you. I can't hear you.
You're muted, darling.
No, I said I'm okay with you seeing me.
Okay, cool. You look amazing, by the way. You're looking better every time I see you on camera. Something's going on there, girl. So thank you, JJ. We've got a couple more hands up.
My pleasure, and thanks again.
Talk to you later, hun.
Yep.
I said pull the head. Oh, here's one. Okay, Maria, you're unmuted.
Oh, yeah, I put my hand up when I was listening to about things disappearing and reappearing again. And now when JJ said all that, I was like, oh, my mind's gone somewhere else. So, right, all I was going to say is, do you remember a guy called Sai Baba who used to make things appear? And he would gift things to people. So he'd pick up a pebble and he'd put it in his hand, and then he'd hand it to the person. He didn't actually do this, but it was something very similar. And the pebble or whatever, I think it was a nut or something, would be solid gold. And I mean, loads and loads of stories like this. But I mean, the most popular thing he's known for is the ash coming out of his hands. But so I'm wondering if where we are, and I've noticed that manifesting is just becoming, easy, mostly easy peasy for a lot of people. When things go missing, is it because we've just put it somewhere else that we can't quite see, in the same way that guy Sai Baba just made things appear or change? And that's what I wanted to know what you thought about that.
Honestly, I haven't put that much thought into it. It's like I've had two dinner plates just disappear. I don't know. I don't know whether I put them energetically somewhere that I can't see them, or whether it happened just to get my attention. And if it did, then what exactly is it telling me? I don't know.
They're your plates. You have a connection to them, an energy connection to them. Do you feel that they're completely gone, that you have no clue where they are, or do you feel that they're kind of hovering around in the energetic ether?
Haven't gone there. Haven't even thought about it, so I couldn't tell you.
Because
and I've let it go. Well, I got to a point where I let it go, and I just went and bought 2 new ones. So.
Oh no, fair enough. I mean, I totally understand that, but I'm thinking, if we start off with the little things of manifesting, and then it kind of turns into bigger things. And I'm wondering if that was all. I was just thinking, well, maybe that could be useful when things go missing and stuff. But I thought what JJ said was far more interesting. So. That was my take on the whole disappearing. Oh, and I love the blue men. Oh my God, that is just genius. Oh, that's going to keep me occupied now for at least 2 hours. Be like, oh, could you write this in here? Oh, and I need a new door. Could you write me one in? I'll let you know if anything weird comes up, because that is just I'm sold on that one. It's brilliant.
It's a joke, and it's a running joke in our house because we talk about things going missing. So many things have gone missing in this house in the last month, just in the last month, that like it's become now almost like, okay, it's gone. Okay.
But have you?
Yeah, let us know how this moves to.
Have you had stuff reappear though? You had the past.
Sometimes, yeah. We had one. Kale has a little tablet thing, and it fucking disappeared. And we searched for 4 hours, and it reappeared on the table right in front of the television, which is exactly where he left it and where he always leaves it. And it just randomly reappeared, and everyone blamed him. Everyone blamed Kale, going, you didn't even look. You was right there the whole time. He was like, no. And I'm like, no, I know.
Yeah.
It was the first place I checked. Obviously, it just randomly reappeared.
Did you speak to the Little Blue Men? I mean, or was it something?
No, but it was the joke of like the Little Blue Men, or Nick sells everything to the gypsies. Anything goes missing, it's like I sold it to the gypsies. So
I suppose I like the idea of co-creating with whatever the energy is in a kind of playful way, and sort of thinking, well, okay, yes, I could do that. Oh, and I'll have that, and you can take that away now. I don't want that anymore. I mean,
get rid of these grey socks, but I'd like some pink ones, please.
Oh well, yeah, I think
fine. You know,
plates with my black socks. I don't know, but yeah, no, that's genius. More gems to play with.
Thanks, Maria. I'm sorry, darling, I'm going to have to cut you off because we've got like 4 people to go and we're way over time already. So thank you. So Melon, you're unmuted.
Did I just leave out the IE in my name?
You did.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's supposed to be Melanie.
Anyway.
I kind of thought it must be.
I know. I came in late because I thought it started at 5. Anyway, let me get to the point because there's a lot of people waiting. I sometimes think that when this shit happens, because this goes back like the 90s stuff, not being there and then being there. But now everything happening so much and so fast, I kind of wonder sometimes if I haven't jumped timelines. Because my husband will seem different some days. Like today, my friend John and I, some days we have the same memories, other days we don't. It's like, we're on a different timeline. You're not here today. So when these things go missing, I wonder, did I jump timelines again?
I wonder that too. And that's another standing joke in our place. It's just on another timeline somewhere.
Yeah, I wonder about that. But that's okay. You know, I'm just going with the flow and kind of just watching shit and see what happens next. All right, I'm going to go. The next person can go.
That's it. Be the observer. Thank you. Yes.
Nebula,
you're unmuted.
Hello, how you guys doing tonight?
Good.
Pretty good.
So you're talking about veils and stuff being lifted, and I'm not like a super woo-woo type of guy, but I've been waking up last week especially, and it's like a collage of butterflies in front of my face, and then I'm forced to wake up. It's really strange. And I heard you guys mentioning other people had this experience also around Tuesday or Wednesday. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right, that's about all I had to say, and maybe get some thoughts about it from you guys and your crew, and see what is that? Is that the construct? Am I going back into mind control? I just don't. It's kind of a bizarre thing, and
or is it just like a different visualization of the veil, the membrane? Like I said, I don't see it as water or a membrane. I see it or feel it differently, and everyone may have their own.
What do butterflies represent?
Change.
I believe they represent mind control. Is that correct?
No.
One aspect, the whole monarch thing, but they also represent transformation, metamorphosis, change.
Gotcha.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first thing that comes to my mind, not mind control. It's breaking out of the chrysalis and becoming something new.
Huh. Interesting. Yeah,
And
it seems like
don't underestimate yourself. If you're listening to this show, you're well into the woo-woo than you think. Perhaps more than you think.
my girlfriend. My girlfriend likes you guys a lot, so I kind of chime in and see what you guys are talking about. Because it's really interesting. I have a lot of similar thoughts and ideas about what is going on, what is reality, how do we get here. Are other people aware of what's going on? How asleep is everybody? But yeah, you guys cover a lot of ground. I appreciate it. Good job.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That's all I got, though.
Awesome. Thanks, Nebula.
Yeah. It'll be what you, I mean, if you want to go down the Monarch Mind Control MK Ultra road, then that's what you'll experience. To me, that's kind of that basic.
Or just think it is.
You're changing.
You're changing, metamorphosing. You're turning into a beautiful butterfly.
Okay, a couple more. We got Penny. Penny, you're unmuted.
Hi guys, how are you doing?
Good.
Good,
How are you
Don.
doing, Penny?
Okay, last night, gotta share this. I posted it in UU, but so I'm laying down to go to sleep, right? And I just start focusing on my tinnitus, the ringing in my ears, you know, because it's so loud since January. It's crazy, guys, how loud it is. Anyway, I'm laying there and I start, I don't even know how I did it, but I wanted to become one with one of the frequencies that I hear, right? So I'm just laying there and all of a sudden, you know those time travel movies where you see them going through like a tunnel, but it's not, but there's all these things around them, you know, as they fly through. Well, that's what started happening. I just started seeing these things, but I wasn't going up, I wasn't going down, I was just kind of going vertically. And all of a sudden, I'm in this room with these two doctors, and they're talking to each other, and one has a what looks like a clipboard. I don't know what it was, but my mind went to a clipboard, right? So the doctor with the clipboard is telling the other doctor that the levels, their levels of cella, and then the one saw me, and I was hit with this blast of energy that I have never felt before, and it just wheeled me back, but I saw the energy, and I posted what it kind of looked like, the closest pictures I could get to what it was like. And you know, we talk about the membrane, and I told Lisa about, oh, this was months ago, like in November. She jumped into one of the Zoom conversations we were having, and I talked about closing my eyes and just letting go of everything. And when I looked to my left, I could see the membrane, and through it, what you guys are now calling the waiting room, my mind took it as the arrival room, where we arrive, right? And my mind correlated it to an airport, like an airport, you know, where everybody's coming in to go into their different directions, right? But so clean, Lisa. It is, I mean, you can't believe how clean it is. Just crisp and clean. But I saw that membrane, and it to me, it is like this membrane, but it like pixelates around the edges and they don't touch. It's really weird. And I saw that. That's why I brought it up, is because I saw that again after they blasted me with this energy and sent me back. And it was so shocking, I had to open my eyes. I couldn't just lay there. I had to open
Do you have
them.
any idea? Okay, this energy that they blasted you with, what did it feel like? Did it just feel like a force field to push you back, or did it have a quality to it?
No, yeah, it had a pushing quality. And what is weird is I knew exactly every word they said, but as I'm coming back, I could feel it just deteriorating what they said. But I know because I correlated it in my head before that energy hit that they were talking about our brain, something about our brain. So, and I knew at that time that we were still being monitored energetically. That's how they're doing it. And that I was not supposed to be there.
As in, like, not yet? There's no jump in the queue or jumping steps in the process? Go back and...
No, I was someplace I was not supposed to be, period. We are being monitored, and these people that are monitoring us, we are not allowed to even know what they're doing. And
so if you're seeing, you saw the membrane though.
Yes.
And
okay, after the energy, right? And I'm going back into my body, or however that transition is, right as I enter, that membrane, that's the last thing I see, and it's that pixelation around it. And I've got a picture, the closest that I can tell of that pixelation that I'm talking about is like specks all around it. But yeah, that's the last thing I saw. And no, I didn't see it going through. When I traveled where I was traveling, I didn't see it. I just saw it after I came back.
Okay, I'm trying to see whether what you're saying, because it sounds to me what you're saying is you're still in the construct and that you met an obstacle that stopped you from going through the membrane into the waiting room.
No, I was there. I was there in the room.
It pulled you back.
Yeah, and when they saw me, I got hit with that blast. And that blast, let me tell you, even after I opened my eyes, I could still feel that.
So these doctors in their suits were inside the waiting room and pushed you back out of it.
It wasn't a waiting room. No, where I was at was completely different than when I talked to you in November about looking over and seeing the arrival place, but I saw the membrane around it. Okay.
Right.
So this time it wasn't like that. Not at all. I was in this room. I was not supposed to be there. But when I was traveling back, it was funny how fast I was losing all the detail. So I had to wonder if that energy wasn't a mind wipe type energy that wipes us. And the only reason why I retained what I did is because, hell, I've been writing dream journals forever, you know. So you work that part of your brain to retain, right? And that's the only reason why I retained what I did. But I do know it was about the brain, and it was Sella is something.
Okay, I want to run something by everybody. Okay. Okay, I said before there might be different waiting rooms for different soul groups and stuff like that, right? But then I've also been feeling into and looking at the information that's coming out and the so-called disclosures and the controlled narrative and all of that. The controllers of the old construct, they're not in here and they can't be in here, this waiting room that I'm in, whatever space that is, right? They do not exist in here. But Dee and I have felt for a couple of years now that they are trying to get us to create version 2.0 or whatever for that they will control and maintain.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of the information that's coming out now is getting us to do that. I think that's what a lot of the New Age stuff was, to go to fifth dimension and, you know, get us to create fifth dimension, basically.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering whether you got pulled into that direction.
That's what it, yeah, I think it was.
Got spat out of that because you don't belong there.
Yeah, because these guys they were up to no good. And I knew that. So, and yeah, and we are not supposed to know. And I can still almost remember both of their features, their facial features, because it was human form, you know. And one was shorter, the one with the clipboard was taller. And oh yeah, they were definitely monitoring us, and it's through energy. I do know that. So I mean, you can even equate this to some of what Yellow Rose for Texas is, you know, like the different vase or eggs or whatever they are. I don't really understand the terminology, but it's like different soul groups or whatever. So the bots, for example, which to me would see why they read your brain. Oh no, shit, she's human.
She can't be in here.
Yeah, it was. I did not have the right badge on for sure.
Yeah. So
and I even kind of crunched down. I mean, my energy was as small as I could make it, and I just observed. It was just trying to observe, right? But when that doctor said that their cell, whatever, you know, I was like, oh my God, in my mind, you know, in my thoughts, I was like, oh my God, they're monitoring us. And that's when, yeah, he saw me and just, I was just blasted. It was crazy, guys. Weird.
That's what you get for going where you're not supposed to be.
I know, right? Next time I'll bring a badge. I'll have somebody counterfeit one.
Well, I think you went there so you could come back and give us confirmation that yes, they are trying to build or mirror or create a version, because they, as far as I'm concerned, they can only exist in that construct. They can't. They cease to be outside of that, so they desperately need another version.
Yeah, as this one's falling apart, they need somewhere new to go to.
Well, that's why I think that's why I was able to get there, is because, yes, all of this is just breaking down. And what is weird is I followed the frequency that is ringing in my ear. Okay, just one of them, because I have like two and sometimes 3 different frequencies all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just focused on one of them, and yep. And I think that is what took me there.
Okay, focus on another one next time. See where that takes.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, darling.
And
okay, I think we got any more. We got
yes, Tamara is the last one.
Tamara.
Hey,
you're unmuted.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, darling.
Now a mystery's been solved for me. Now I know where all my socks went in the past.
It's the little blue man.
Tube. This has been really great. You know, what I wanted to share was I just recently watched Alex Collier, a January interview that he had in 2017, or just this last month. And you know, you ladies were talking about how you're getting pulled back into the matrix, right? Well, you know, when you look at a fortune cookie, and at the end of the fortune cookie, there's that game where you play where you say in bed, you say, you know, I'm the most talented, thoughtful person, in bed, right? Yeah. That's the way the fortune cookie game is played. All I could hear after Alex Collier talking was in the matrix, like everything that he tried. And I honestly believe from his heart and where he's at and his learning and his knowing, he's coming from a really real place. Because it's funny, I was sharing with Katrina, had I not been in the place that I'm in now, I would have been right behind him saying, yeah, how do we do this? Like, how do I make this world a better place? And how do I get on board with co-creating that? So it's interesting to see in the Matrix and to see it from the point of view of the Matrix. And as a result, talk about the programming dropping. I went from elation to depression, up and down, up and down, up and down, to why am I even here? What's the whole point? To some massive programming with Lilu. I mean, all this savior. I was raised as a Christian as a young child, and I thought I'd gotten rid of all of the Messiah programming, and I was really becoming depressed because Lilu wasn't coming back and talking as much anymore. And I realized I was putting her in the category of the savior position, and so that triggered so many things of this experience, like you said in this. I haven't gone through the veils like you guys have talked about, but more along the lines of like a bullet hole straight through to that waiting room. and in a matter of moments, all of these programs came up for me that I had to deal with, and I could not move for a week. I sat in one place for a week. So what the question that I've come up with is this. I don't know who was talking about Dr. Strange, but thank you very much for saying that, because I mentioned this to Katrina last week. We had just recently seen Dr. Strange with the mirror room, and I said, oh my God, that's what this place is. The Matrix is the safe mirror room for us to go and experience things that we would never do with each other outside of this realm. So then the question becomes, right? What is our intention to be here in the first place? If we figured out our intention to experience what we were supposed to experience here on a personal level in the first place, maybe reverse engineering that would help us get either to where we want to continue to co-create regarding another matrix, or to get out and rest and be with our families. So, I mean, that hit me pretty hard, and I feel like we can ask that question now because of all these layers and cubes that have finally been broken down. And I got a vision, Lisa. Remember when I shared with you that my girlfriend's seeing all these rainbows everywhere, right? One of the visions I got was, well, maybe it's not a way out, but maybe what that is that layer, that fine glass, I'm going to call it glass because I don't have a better word for it, glass layers that separated us from everybody else. Maybe what Katrina is seeing when she's seeing those rainbows are shards breaking away and causing a reflection within the matrix itself.
Oh, that's interesting.
When you said you haven't been through those veils, have you had a look back over the last 3 to 4 years?
Yeah.
Because you may have been slowly going through them, like, over years.
Maybe I have. Maybe I don't. I'm not. I don't have the right words for it. I guess what I'm more thinking about is like what I've been going through in the last few months. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that the layers. Yeah, I think that's a possibility. I'll just leave it at that. Kat seems to be saying you're right.
That's what I've seen for me. It was a slow process over 3 and a bit years.
Mm-hmm.
And what I'm seeing now is a very condensed version of that that's happening months for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah.
But I think we've gone through everybody's hands up.
We did.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Just one last question I have for you guys. If we figure out what our true intention was here to experience in the first place, is that our way? So this would be the question, right? The question is, when the construct got taken over, had we already completed what we wanted to experience here? Or did the construct get taken over and that is a part of the game? Or did it get taken over and now we have to go back and complete the very thing we were supposed to complete here in the first place?
I fluctuate on this, but my personal thing is I actually think what we perceive as the takeover could very well have been part of the game.
Yeah, I do too.
Or the experiment, or the experience.
Right, and the reason why I tend to err on that side with you, Danny, is because ultimately, if we're going to go into the ultimate game, then the ultimate game is really not knowing who and what and where we are. We're kind of dropped in the middle of nowhere, and now we got to put the. It's like, do you remember that computer game named Myst? Do you remember that? It's like way back.
Yeah.
It's for super nerds. I'm a super nerd. And you don't know why you're there. You were literally dropped in the middle of nowhere, and you have to put the pieces together and figure out what the hell are you doing there. By the time that you actually complete it, there's no reward. There's no any points. It's the mere fact that you put the puzzle pieces together is what got you to the other side. So yeah, I kind of tend to agree with you. This might be a mirrored Myst experience that we're having.
Okay, well, I'm probably on the other end of the stick or spectrum on that one. I do think it was a takeover. I don't believe this was part of the program. Okay. I think this was a playground. It was an opportunity to create an experience in a whole other way.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at right now, and that could change, and I don't know. But where I'm at right now is no, this was not part of the storyline. And when I look at things like every story, every movie, every play, every narrative, every story that we're given in history that was going down a certain road, the good guys win. It's a creative process, and the good guys win. And then when we look at history, it's the same story over and over and over and over and over again. And then just before the good guys win, the bad guys win. It just feels like twists on what was originally a positive narrative or a positive experience. It's twisted, subverted, distorted, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And if I use that as a micro, then what about the macro? Was this initially a positive experience that's just been distorted? That's kind of how it feels for me right now. But it could, and then maybe the truth is ultimately somewhere in between, or neither of those two.
Yeah.
It's something altogether.
Do you feel though? Okay, so then if you feel that way, Lisa, and then we got taken over and usurped, then is your next step to complete what you have to complete here? Is your next step to get out? I mean, I'm just wondering, like, in a sense of, then what is the purpose of still being here? Or do we need to complete what we have?
It's kind of what you were saying before. The putting the pieces together and figuring out how to get out will be reward enough in itself.
Yeah.
For me on a personal level. Maybe that will be enough to make me turn around and go, phew, okay, it was fucked, but it was, ultimately I came out of it okay and worth it, the experience or whatever. I've grown as a result.
And that's when it all would depend on what we remember when you come out. We don't know, know what our previous existence was like.
Yeah.
So therefore, how can we know? At this point, like, we can kind of discuss it and we can theorize and we can go with what we think we know in that moment, but we don't know. I sure as fuck don't.
I have one last question then, you guys, regarding Lilu. She said we're either making, we're in this old construct and we're making a new one, but then outside lies the place that we all really reside and where our real home is. after all the trauma that we've been through in this construct, why would we make another one really quickly? Why wouldn't we just stop and rest for a moment, collect, observe, reflect, and then go? I feel like maybe I've heard this wrong, so that's why I'm asking for clarification. I feel like in a lot of ways, Lilu got introduced, this idea of home outside of here got introduced, but now we're in the middle of building a matrix, and I'm still wrapping my head around the fact that we've been in one, you know? So it's a little like, I don't, maybe that's what you're talking about, the waiting that you're in, you know? I don't know what that waiting space looks like for us to reflect and go, do I really want to build another matrix? Because I'm still licking my wounds, so to speak.
Well, a couple of things on that. I remember Al Farrar way back when I first interviewed him. He said, basically outside these constructs, it's just the goo, right? He called it the goo. And he said it's bloody boring. So in order to have these experiences that we're having, the physicality, we create these constructs, which is a lot more fun, apparently. What she referred to as home base is the home construct, because this is a construct within the construct. This was like a game we created within a game. Mm-hmm. That it is what we would call heaven and the resting place. And I don't think we have to make any choices about anything straight away. We might just hang there for a bit. We may go back to our true homes, whatever they are. We may just decide, okay, I'm ready for the construct that like Lilu said, there is another construct that's been created that compared to this one, she said, if this one is Windows 9, then the other one is Windows 50 to ensure that this never happens again. All of the checks and balances and all of that have been done. This can never happen again. You may choose to go in there and have the experience we originally came in here to have. I'm, even with all the conversations with Lilu, it's not crystal clear. She acknowledged that even where she is a construct. It's all constructs. But from what I got out of all those conversations is that we are in a construct within a construct.
Yeah.
But it's now 2 hours and 40 minutes into this, so I think it's time to say bye-bye. But thank you, Tamara. Does that help at all?
Walk the dog, and it's pouring rain outside. So.
Does that help at all?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I didn't think you heard me. Yes, and thank you, and I appreciate you both taking the time to expound on that more. Thank you.
Cool, thank you. All right, guys, I will see members tomorrow for CI, and how about you?
I'm going to bed. There'll be a Transconspicuous News or a Transconspicuous Views at some point in time this week, guaranteed.
Wow, 106.
They usually only happen at the spur of the moment.
Okay. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.